Oh, no, I ain't seen nothing. I ain't seen nothing. Matter of fact, I'm blind in my left eye and 43% blind in my right eye. I don't see much of nothing. Matter of fact, I can't even see you, sir.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Mid-Tier Thoughts video. Today we're going to be talking about Minuteman Recon, but we're going to be doing it from a different approach than what you've probably seen. Most of the videos I've been able to find when it comes to reconnaissance or recce, whether it be in a rural or urban setting or in the woods, anything like that, are mainly centered around tactical gear and the weapons. The urban recce rifle, the backpack, SMG, things like this. Things that you can usually geared more towards the gun and, putting it in a backpack or going out and doing long-range recons, things like this. So I think those are important skills to have, and those are really cool videos to watch and to get the skills and knowledge from. However, I think when it comes to the modern day Minuteman, I think we can find something a little bit more applicable when it comes to our version of reconnaissance and intelligence gathering. Most of us live in and around cities or towns or within an hour's drive of which, realistically speaking, from a historical standpoint, most conflicts are fought over those cities and towns, not so much the mountains and hills. Now, while there is fighting that does happen in the surrounding areas and the peripheries in the mountains and hills for sure, we can definitely look at certain examples of that. A majority of fighting takes place in and around and for the resources that are around cities and the people that are in cities. You can control the people and the resources, you can control the region. Why do you have to spend time fighting out in the woods if you can just control the town that everyone gets their supplies from? So with that, intelligence gathering and recon needs to take more of a gray man appearance, in my opinion. And I'm going to show you some tools and things that we have today, kind of my methodology behind this, as to what might make a good Minuteman loadout for a low-vis situation. So if you're going to be doing intelligence, first off, let's get the first thing out of the way. You need to worry about your appearance. If you're going to be a gray man, you're going to need to know your area and dress appropriately for it. So I know a lot of us probably have a lot of the tactical Timmy clothes, gun brand t-shirts, 511 t-shirts, Black Rifle Coffee style t-shirts, things like that, tactical cargo pants, all that jazz. If you're in an area like I am in the Pacific Northwest up here in North Idaho, ironically, that actually makes you fit in a little bit more than dressing normal. There's a lot of people that dress like that up here, so that actually would make you a little bit more of a gray man, ironically, up here than in some other areas. But if you're in maybe a major metro area, you might not want to wear any of that at all. Try to blend it as much as possible, maybe a flannel and some blue jeans, or just a normal collared shirt, maybe not even a collared shirt, just a just random t-shirt and some scuffed up jeans, something like that. Depending on your area, like I said, go out, kind of pay attention to what are people wearing? What, are you the oddball out, or do you fit in pretty normally? So change your appearance roughly to fit in more with your surrounding area. Because if you're going to be doing any type of reconnaissance or intelligence gathering, you want to be able to blend and to not be memorable. You don't want people to know that you're doing it in the first place. The other thing I would say as well is, as we get down into the tools, one of the most powerful things that you have with you on a daily basis that is a huge intelligence gathering tool is your cell phone. I would show you and hold it up, except I'm recording online. So with the advent of YouTube and with social media and all this kind of stuff, it is not uncommon to have people randomly out on the street taking videos, pictures, all this kind of stuff. People will just assume it's for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. And from a human intelligence gathering aspect, that's a really big advantage in your court, because most people will just assume you're out there being some dumb YouTuber or Instagram guy just trying to take pictures, doing a selfie. Even the dumb tourist out there is trying to take a family photo or a photo with your buddies, things like this. So it's not hard to gather information or do reconnaissance with just a simple cell phone, taking pictures and videos, as long as you play it right. And even if you're in an area where you really shouldn't be taking pictures or things like that, it's pretty easy to play off as just playing dumb. Now, all of that being said, your cell phone, while a great tool to gather intelligence, could potentially compromise you as well. If you're in an environment or an area where cell phones are being monitored and tracked, or for some reason that they're being used to, read the messages, pictures, things like this, and it might compromise you, you might not be able to use your cell phone. So something a little bit more old school though, that is very helpful, is a notebook. Just a simple notebook for taking your notes in the field. Now, the thing I recommend is a Write in the Rain notebook. The reason I recommend this is whatever situation you're going to go do, you're going to wind up needing some notes of what you observed, what you found out, things like this. So this is where you're going to collect the intelligence that you're trying to gather. Now, the nice thing about this is it has a lot of helpful guides in here. Generally in the back, you usually have how to do range cards, how to write certain diagrams, how to gather certain intelligence information, unit symbols, things like this. Things that could be helpful for whoever you're trying to get this human intelligence to, whether that be other people in a group, whether that be yourself or whatever. This is stuff that not only can you take notes, but you can draw range cards, you can add down different pertinent amounts of information. And I would even go so far as to say your notebook with information on it would be more valuable on you than your firearm. The reason I say that is your firearm, while it should be on you and should be as concealed as possible, there may be potential environments that you're trying to gather information in that you can't even bring a firearm into. But it would be way less suspicious just to have a notebook on you, even with certain notes or certain pictures in it, than it would be to have a firearm. So with that, the notebook is probably going to be your most important tool. And like I said, the Rite in the Rain is my preferred one. I do prefer the Rite in the Rains when it comes to notebooks. They do have a lot of valuable information that you can use, also as well as scales and field maps, things like this that you can put in here. However, they do make smaller ones as well that are more flip book, kind of Blue's Clues style notebooks that you can bring with you. Now we've covered your cell phone and your notepads. You obviously see though, I have a lot more tools here, so let's dive into a few more of these. A great thing to have for intelligence gathering is a simple pair of cheap binoculars. These things can be found at just about any hardware or outdoor store. They're not terribly expensive. Now the area where I'm at, I live near two major population centers that are both surrounded by a lot of beautiful wilderness, and we get a lot of tourism for that. We get a lot of outdoor tourism for hiking, skiing, things like this, watercraft in the summertime. We have a lot of outdoors activities in our areas. So it's not uncommon for people to have binoculars on them, whether it be for hunting, for hiking, for bird watching, for any variety of reasons. So having these with you isn't out of place. It doesn't make you look odd, and it's pretty normal for people to have a pair of binoculars either in their vehicle or in a backpack, something like that. So it's not uncommon to have a pair of these. Plus, you'll be able to see things obviously a lot further than you normally would. That's how binoculars work. A great way to get some intelligence and recon on your target while being far enough away that they don't have to see you. Cheap pair of binoculars is a great option as well. It doesn't stand out, and it's something simple that you can use. Going along the lines of the binoculars, another thing you could do, again, is the rangefinder. So this is the SIG Kilo 2200 laser rangefinder. So with the rangefinder, obviously you have a monocular that is magnified to a certain degree. Depending on the rangefinder, it'll be different. And you have the laser module as well that shoots out a beam to be able to tell you how far away something is. So all of these tools that we've described all the way up to this are very helpful, not only for observation, but again, for that intelligence gathering aspect. Now, why are we doing this in the first place? Well, a lot of that sexy stuff we see on YouTube when it comes down to the urban recce or even like the rural recce, things like this, why are we doing the reconnaissance? Well, generally, if you're going to have some type of operation or some type of sexy run and gun, CQB, kicking indoors, all that sexy stuff we want to do, that generally requires a certain amount of intel and a certain amount of actionable intel to have before you just go running the gun. You don't just go north till you find bad guys. You generally scout them out and find the area and plan operations around that. So going on the lines of the binoculars is the rangefinder. So a rangefinder does exactly what you think it does. It finds the range on a target. Some of these are even programmable, like the one I have here, to where it'll adjust to tell you if you are going to be shooting at a distance, how much adjustment you need to be able to make that shot at that yardage. You can load it up with ballistic data, and it will tell you, based on the round that you're firing and the rifle it's coming out of, what you need to do to adjust to make those shots on target. Okay, so after the rangefinder, this can be used in a static position or potentially on the move with you. And it's relatively small, can fit in a pocket, doesn't take up a lot of space, and depending on your area, it may be a little more suspicious after recent events, but it's still potentially pretty innocuous. So all of these things too can be used for both static and mobile observation. So whether you're staking out somewhere and sitting in a hotel room like a cop movie, looking out through the window, whether you're sitting on the side of the street having your coffee, things like this, obviously using binos at a cafe could be a little weird. That's where the cell phone comes in. But maybe you're doing a more rural setting, or you're doing an area where you have the ability to kind of be back in a window in an urban setting, things like this. Those can be pretty awesome tools, especially if you can set it up maybe even in your vehicle, things like this. Another great observation tool for static post observation and human intel gathering is a thermal device. So this is the AGM TM160. This guy here, I've done a video on, it'll be up here somewhere. It's just a simple thermal monocular. So you have the capability with this little screw here to mount it onto a headset. You could mount it onto a bipod, set it up in a stationary area. Again, looking out through some curtains on a window screen, kind of like a police stakeout movie, if you guys can imagine what I'm talking about with that. But the cool thing is, this thing can record. You can Bluetooth it to your cell phone, and you can record video and take camera footage and take pictures and video both with it from a static post observation. So with this, you can have multiple different heat settings, and you can tell the heat signatures in a certain area. So perhaps, let's say, you try to gather intelligence on how many people come through a certain area every day through a certain time, or maybe you're just trying to keep an eye on a certain piece of property, things like this. You can do that with this and know those heat signatures that identify as human come through those areas. You can record that data and use it as necessary for your human intelligence gathering. So now, a lot of this stuff can be used as just a one-man operation with the tools I've presented before. Now, I would suggest that if you're going to be successful, depending upon the scenario that you're running into, you might want to work in a team. That's not always going to be the better case, but for this case, let's say it is. If that's so, you're probably going to want to work in some type of communication, and some type of closed communication as well. While cell phones are helpful, again, if you are in an environment where they are being monitored or traffic is being monitored, cell phones, text messages, things like this could cause potential liability or issues. Another great way to get around that is potentially radios, depending again on the scenario. Obviously, those guys out there that are way more skilled in radios, I can talk about jamming signals, tracking signals, things like that. But if you want to work on a closed circuit with a private channel for radios, that is a potential capability. Now, you could go something simple and cheap with simple little boat radios. You can get at any hardware store and just use these as little walkie-talkies in your area. Again, you don't want to be walking around town if you're trying to make this, if you're trying to make this concealed and, not make it super obvious. You don't want to be walking around town, hey, breaker, breaker, right? That's obviously a little off-putting. People see that, people notice that. It's not very gray man. So, whether it be one of these or whether it be like a simple bow thing, that you can run a more discrete system to where basically you can run this little earpiece that sits on your ear, right? Imagine you're a bouncer, a bodyguard, private security, whatever, right? This goes into your shirt, so it's not very well seen. You have a button here to be able to transmit. This plugs into your radio system, and this plugs into your radio system, and that'll go into either the cheap little radios that you can run as the walkie-talkies, or you can run those on your bow things. If you want to learn a little bit more about a really awesome concealed comms network, I'm going to have a video posted up here again. Taprack Tyler has a couple great videos on that with some stuff that he's been running for concealed network communications. So that's an awesome way to do that and be able to communicate with your team. Put this on your belt, put it in a pocket, do something like that. For me, the church I go to, they happen to have a security team that's very low vis. A lot of them are running some type of radio like that with the little earpieces. It's very hidden, very out of sight, very out of the way. A lot of people don't notice. Again, another thing to remember about a lot of this is that most people are not paying attention to anything at all. So another couple things that are smaller items I would say would be helpful in that kind of Minuteman loadout when it comes to the intel gathering is a simple multi-tool. So the multi-tool I have here has a bunch of different tools on it: pliers, knives, screwdrivers, things like this, right? Now, why would you want one of these on you? Well, one, everybody has, at least everyone in the area where I'm at, has some kind of pocket knife, multi-tool, something on them. They're not uncommon, they're not out of place. A lot of workers have them, a lot of people in trades have them, things like this. So having one of these on you allows you a lot of different tools to have access to gain entry into certain areas, to deny access for certain areas, to do a whole lot of stuff. You've got wire cutters on here, you've got scissors, pliers, all kinds of things. If you need to modify something in the field, if you need to get into a building, if you need to get out of a building, if you need to open things that shouldn't be open, vice versa, there's a lot of tools on here that can help you get in and out of areas that maybe you don't want to get caught in while you're doing intelligence gathering. Another one too, a lighter. A lighter, it's another super simple tool when it comes to a human intelligence gathering. Think about how many people smoke, right? I don't smoke, but having a lighter with me, right? You go outside, oh, hey, need a light, right? Light somebody up, and then you can sit there and start a conversation with that person. Most intelligence gathering, the most successful intelligence gathering is when people don't even know it's happening. People like to talk, and they like to let you know what they know. right? So this is a great way to start up a conversation with somebody that you might not have any other way to start a conversation up with someone about. On top of that, just doing simple everyday tasks with or without these tools, right? Sitting at a cafe and overhearing someone's conversation. Being a waiter and bringing someone their food, again, overhearing their conversation. And noticing your surroundings and your environment are going to be your most helpful tools to this. While all of these are cool gadgets and are great ways to help you gather that intel, none of them mean anything if you don't actually practice and know what you're doing. Again, a great way to do this is just sit down at it the next time you go down to a restaurant and see how well you can listen in on other people's conversations. Human intelligence gathering, it's about being nosy without being obvious. All of the tools that I've shown you can help you in that process, but your greatest tool when it comes to human intelligence gathering is going to be your imagination, your creativity, and your mind. With all that, guys, I know this video wasn't the most fluid of some of the ones I made in the past. Had a lot of thoughts to get out there. We are going to be doing some more in-depth stuff on putting this into practice and showing a little bit of more how-tos in the future. Make sure too that before November 1st, you check out the fundraiser we're still doing. Link will be down in the description. This is a fundraiser to help out Samaritans Purse for helping out Hurricane Helene victims. We're trying to raise $5,000. That's our lofty goal, a realistic goal. It's looking like it's hopefully to raise $1,000. With that being said, we're doing a giveaway coinciding with this. We've got some really awesome stuff, so check it out down below. I can't necessarily say everything here on YouTube. They'll slap my hand for it. So check it out down below. There will be links to it. Go to the GoFundMe, check it out. Help out Americans that are struggling, and we can help you out in return. I want to give a last-minute shout-out to username OWE. Sorry if I'm not saying that right. We're not putting enough emphasis on it like Rick and Morty. You are our first member. The username OWE, and if you want to be like him and get you a shout out at the end of this video too and get some other awesome perks, you too can also tap the link down below and become a member of the channel. All of that money that we get from the membership helps go back into the channel, be able to afford ammo, guns, gadgets, things like this to do reviews and bring more information on. Helps us out here at the channel. We appreciate it so much. You're a real one, dude. We appreciate it so much for everything you guys do for us here. Really love this, love support between this and the podcast and everything else. It's been amazing down this YouTube journey to see how many of you guys tune in to hear what little Omi has to say. So with that, guys, thank you so much for being awesome, and we'll catch you on the next one.